Hey guys, and welcome to Epic TCG. Today we're going to be looking over a few games of Magic played in Epic. We're looking at two Tier 1 decks. We're looking at Black-White Control, and we're looking at Temur Emurge. I was personally playing Temur Emurge. I'm Dan, and I'm joined today on commentary by
Niaz Izati.
who is also another player in store. We're going to look at a few of the essential cards to the decks, or what I believe to be essential. So, first up, we're going to look at Liliana, the Last Hope. For me, Liliana is probably one of her best forms at the moment. Her +1 ability is so useful against things spawning early game because your early drops tend to be 1/1s. And I know Niaz runs a red-white aggro deck. Um, how much does Liliana pain you?
Oh, every move I do, like for example, if I'm playing Thalia's Lieutenant, straight out kill. Expedition Envoy, straight out kill. Every time I try ramping up my field, kills pretty much everything unless I've got other creatures down that can deal with it. Um, it's just such a pain to deal with in regards to my deck. My Handweir Garrisons can probably get away with it, but then it just destroys my tokens, which stop me from merging. I've got an Ormondor in my deck, and it just stops me from getting to that point as well. So yeah, it's a pain.
So we'll talk about the -2 ability of Liliana as well. It allows you to put 2 cards from your library into your graveyard from the top. Um, then you can return a creature card from the graveyard to hand. So if we've just managed to kill Kalitas or just managed to kill Avacyn, it's back in the hand. And for us, Avacyn flashing in indestructible. I don't know about you, but that's just a pain.
Yeah, it kind of stops you in your tracks, and then obviously with Avacyn being on the field, it's that constant threat of obviously just dealing 3 damage to everything on the field, and the opponent as well. So it kind of stumps you in regards to attacking what they've got.
And then obviously when you ultimate Liliana, the emblem of at the beginning of your instep, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. So first turn you get 2, then you get 4, and so on and so forth.
Just multiplies and just expands, and it just becomes an unbeatable army.
And with regards to zombies, that also becomes Kalitas food. Kalitas being the other creature that Black White Control runs, and Kalitas just wreaks havoc.
He's just nasty.
I mean, for me, my only way of sort of dealing with him early board is Narwood Dryad. But then when you're playing Black White Control, there are an unreal amount of kill spells. So Narwood Dryad doesn't really last that long. And obviously, every time a creature dies, it would be exiled instead, and then they gain black zombie tokens.
It's just a pain. The only way that I get around it is just by killing it with a spell. Decking Stone, I just exile it so he can't bring it back to his hand. Using going back to Liliana, using Liliana's, put 2 in the graveyard and take it back from put it in your hand. I just exile it, Decking Stone, Status Snare, just get rid of it.
And lastly, I think the other main threat in Black White Control for me and the deck I play, Temur Emerge, is Infinite Obliteration. And it's turn 3, goodbye Emrakul. I mean, if you don't know what you're playing, then you would sideboard it. But for someone like Reese who knows a lot of decks, he's mainboarding Infinite Obliteration. And there is nothing worse than turn 3. What your deck's designed to do is to get to Emrakul and it's gone. And this is before sideboarded games, so I can't even put in Coax of a Blind Eternity to get it back. You know, it's then clutching at straws. It's almost a do I scoop now situation. So we'll now take a look at a few of the cards that I run in the Temur Emerge that I think are key. So a nice early second turn drop is Grapple with the Past. This can be the difference between Delirium turn 2 or not. Because you don't have to take any of the 3 cards that you put in the graveyard from the top. You can take anything in the graveyard. So it's good early game to activate Delirium. And it's good late game if they've been killing off your Emurges and not exiling them. Because at the end of their turn, it's tap 2 mana. I get to go through my graveyard and take whatever creature or land that I want. And as you'll see through the games, I was playing this card wrong. And I think a lot of people that are still learning to play with Temur Emurge are doing the same and playing it on your own turn and wasting your mana for the turn. And that's silly. It should be a tap 2 at the end of your opponent's turn rather than leaving yourself tapped out. Leave your opponent guessing.
Yeah, I will admit I made the same mistake. However, I didn't bond well with the Temur Emurge deck, so I was stuck with a red-white aggro. It just seemed a bit slow with the Temur Emurge. So I just changed back to what I knew best.
So talking about Delirium, we'll move on to talking about Ishkanar. Ishkanar the Graph Widow is a brilliant card in the deck. It's a 3/5, 5 mana cast, but when Delirium is active, you get 3 1/2 spider tokens, and they've all got reach. They come into the battlefield with reach. This card is really great. It's just a good answer to flying with its little spider babies. So it's a good, if you flash in Avacyn and you're going to attack me a few turns in the air, it gives me those extra few turns to get some blocks in and get towards Emrakul.
Another good thing about this card is people underrate it, so it's not really affected by any kill spells, because they're all waiting. When they see your first set of cards, they're waiting for that Emrakul, so they don't really tackle Ishkanar as fast as they should.
I think the other threat for Ishkanar is she's very easy to emerge off of. So I can attack, and then during the player's upkeep, I can emerge. Now, moving on to the emerge, it allows me to emerge into an Elder Deep Fiend or a Wretched Griff really, really cheap. And then stack Kozilek's Return. Kozilek's Return's normal is it deals 2 damage to each creature on the field. But if I remove it from the graveyard and remove it from play, I can trigger it, and it deals 5 damage. So it may kill off all my spiders in the end, but it's an easy answer to Avacyn before and after she's flipped. And I know playing against Niaz myself that a few times, every time I emerge and I remove it from play, I can see the look of frustration on his face.
Oh, this card is frustrating. Every time I'll have silly creatures on the field. I'll have like a Hamweir militia captain ready, sitting at 12/12, ready to go against the Emrakul, and he just wipes my board. And then because all my board goes down to a 0-0, my Hamweir's got to go as well. So it just kills everything on my board.
And the final creature we're going to look at is Big Bad Emrakul the Promised End, which is the main point of the Temur Emurge deck. It's what we're all ramping to get to. So the Promised End costs 1 less to cast for each card type amongst my graveyard. So things like Grapple with the Past and Gather the Pack really do help fill that graveyard for me. The thing is when I cast Emrakul, I gain control of a target opponent's next turn. So in a 1v1, this thing is great. Because if we're playing against Black-White Control and they're tapped out, I know they can't drop any spells. And that means I can then deal with their board, depending on what they have in hand. The only downfall is that they get an extra turn afterwards, but after that, you know what they've got in hand and what to expect. I mean, this thing's flying trample, and it has protection from instants, and it's a 13/13. It's
a pain.
It's unreal. It's a very, very good card, and I know a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, I'm not keen on the card when I come against it. really frustrating when your opponent takes your turn and destroys everything you've got. Hopefully we get to see it a bit later on.
Yep, so let's move on to some games. Okay, so moving on to game one now. As you can see, both players cutting the decks, both players rolling to see who goes first. So each player is dealing out 7 cards. So let's see what we go with. So Reese now dropping in a nice tap land, which is a good sequence to go with for first turn. If you have other lands in hand, so then a couple of turns in, you're not stuck with what you need and having to deal with a tap land. So turn 2, dropping a forest, tapping 2, and again, this is what I was saying earlier. This is why I was playing wrong. Grapple the past in my turn, choosing to take Emrakul, and putting 3 into my graveyard. Obviously trying to ramp up for Delirium very early in the game, and I'm in it for 3 at the moment on turn 2. So Reese dropping Read the Bones, which allows him to scry the top 2 cards of his library. He can choose to put 1 back and 1 at the bottom, which he does. The only issue I see with this is it's a 2 health early game damage. Again, another tap land. So now Corrupted Graftstone, which, as you know, allows me to play any colour from my graveyard.
Yeah.
And
there he is.
There's Kalitas. As soon as I start seeing this turn 4, I get, it starts to become worrying. So dropping a nice early Gather the Pack. So what do you think about Gather the Pack?
I think that's a really good card. Allows you to obviously take the top 5 cards and then take a creature from that, and then obviously put it in your hand. If you've got the mana, then you can play it. Obviously, this is the card that you were mentioning earlier that you would use to go against Kalitas in regards to your Death Touch.
And again, there a misplay. I'm playing Grapple with the Past on my turn, which leaves me tapped out for mana, which means I've got no counter to whatever's going to happen next. Here I don't choose to take anything to try and fill up the graveyard, and that puts me onto 6, I believe, in the Delirium pool.
So your creatures are sitting at a 3/3 at the moment with Death Touch.
It is. This also means that it's only gonna cost me 7 mana to cast Emrakul, which means there's a 3-turn clock going right now in the back of Reese's mind because he knows Emrakul can be on the way.
And he knows you've got it because you've taken it from your graveyard as well.
Yeah, I took it from my first Grapple of the Past. So it's a clock counting down. So here we see Reese just organising his mana, which means I know I'm going to be losing a few things and taking some damage.
Yeah, it's never good when Reese shuffles his mana about reorganising it because he's got a plan in mind.
I think the other thing a lot of people don't realise about Kalitas is the lifelink aspect that he has is it can be the difference. It puts him above 20 life. There we go. Ruinous Path to to my Nawa Dryad, and there's our first instance of Kalitas food.
But then obviously with Kalitas having that lifelink, with the Read the Bones that he played earlier, it doesn't matter because he just gains the life back.
Yeah, he's back up to 21 now, so this is now a clock that I'm having to face down. I've got one more turn, essentially, until I can play Emrakul because of Corrupted Graftstone. So here, I tap my Corrupted Graftstone for 1 mana for Nawa Dryad, and obviously hope that Narwood is going to be my answer to Kalitas. Knowing Reese and knowing the deck, it's probably not. It's probably going to get straight up murdered.
There we go. We've got rearrange again.
And things like this always make me think that he has Secure the Wastes as well. But for such a kill-heavy deck, he seems to never be out of mana.
No.
And I think this is one thing myself and Uniaz lack, is that we
tap out very quickly.
Yeah, we try and do a lot of things at once.
Yeah, we try to do it all in our turn, where half the stuff we can actually do in our opponent's turn. There you go.
There we go. Straight up murder.
There's your murder for you.
And again, more Kalitas food in the zombies.
Yeah. So he's now going to swing with both.
Yeah, swings at both, and that's a 5 damage after taking the 3 already. This is starting to hurt. So I'm down to 12. Now I'm going to have to wait and see. There we go. Tapping more mana. And now here comes Liliana.
Here comes the almighty Liliana, who's going to... He's plussing now?
Yeah, going to tick her up. Obviously, you don't have to target creature. So you may target creature. So again, I'm playing for another Corrupted Graftstone.
You've got your 7 mana though now.
And this is the thing, is I think I'm clutching at a few straws, and I don't know why. I know I can take a few more big hits. But the issue is if I keep leaving Kalitas unchecked, he's gonna become strong.
Mm.
And here we again reorganizing mana.
It's almost like, where does he get the mana from?
Yeah,
he's just constantly got that mana coming.
And I think this is the difference. Like, it's a very good deck. Obviously, in the Pro Tours, as we've been watching, Black White topped.
Oh, you go, Sorin.
Yep, here comes Sorin. And I don't have an answer to Sorin either. Top card, reveal it. Luckily, it's a land, so I don't take any damage. But as we see in the Pro Tours, Black White Control just topped out Temur Emurge.
Swing for 7.
Yeah, swinging for 7 in total. That hurt.
So you're on what, 5, 4?
6 at this point.
Okay.
Here we go.
Emrakul.
Emrakul. So that would be why I tapped for the extra Corrupted Graftstone, is because I didn't have an extra mana in hand. So to play the extra, and here comes Ruiner's Path.
There's an Avacyn.
An Avacyn in hand, and another Kalitas. So ideally what I would do here...
I would play Kalitas to kill Kalitas.
Yeah, I would play Kalitas. I should play Kalitas to kill Kalitas. But I know here that I make a big mistake, and I'll tell you for why after I've done it.
Took Sorin.
So I took out Sorin with Ruiner's Path. Now, what I should have done here is used Sorin's minus ability to kill Kalitas. Then made him play a new Kalitas.
Or you could have played the Kalitas, then use the minus ability to take out the new Kalitas.
Yeah, and I mean, like, here I'm -2, and obviously I choose to take nothing, and there goes Infinite Obliteration. So this is what I mean, like, the main deck Infinite Obliteration is a massive threat to what we have. So I think here I'm going to cast Kalitas to kill Kalitas. Paining for some damage. So killing off that Kalitas. Swinging at me with the 2/2 and killing that off. And then passing the turn back. So now obviously I know he's got a dual land and an Avacyn. But it's all about that draw. And this is where we see Reese is obviously thinking about what he's going to do next. So here we see him -2. Liliana, and there's a Gideon. But he's going to take back Kalitas.
He's played the land.
So he's played his land for the turn. And at this point, I know that it's imminent. I'm just trying to prevent the inevitable. And Kalitas being on the field is a constant threat.
Knowing that he's got that Avacyn.
Yeah, knowing he has the Avacyn in hand and has enough mana to flash it in. Because I'll block here, killing his Kalitas, which he allows to go through. And I still take 2 damage. So I'm down to 4. So this is where I'm going to lose the game. Because I know he has an Avacyn in hand. So, being on 4 health, I've got 2 turns to do something, realistically. So I drop a vessel, and I crack the vessel. In hope that I can draw into something to sort of save myself.
You got yourself a Chandra there.
I got myself a Chandra.
And
another Emrakul. So I take the other Emrakul. So thinking about it now, I probably should have taken Chandra. But again, all I'm thinking about is Big Bad Emrakul and an answer to the Avacyn that he has in hand. So
which he then flashes
in at the end of the turn.
So he's got his mana left for the rest of it.
Yep, and now is where the fun begins. Okay, sorry about that. The camera I like to use is like an editor's best friend and holds only a certain amount of time footage. So here we go. We've had a flipped Avacyn due to the zombie dying, which means it's dealt me 3 damage.
So you're now sitting on 1 life?
Yep, sitting on 1 life, and stupidly I decide to attack him.
Or is it? Because now you've got that second Emrakul in your hand, so now
I do have the second Emrakul.
You're tapping.
So I am tapping away.
So
I sack off the Emrakul that I've just attacked with. Casting Kozilek's Return off the stack.
So you're killing the Avacyn.
So killing Avacyn. At this point, this is where things get interesting. Because he still has time to react. And this is Secure the Wastes coming from Reese here. Which is 1 white mana and then X. And you get 1 night tokens for every mana you tap other than the 1 white. So this is now a problem.
This is defense.
And now Reese knows that I've had the second Emrakul.
Kalitas there,
he's got
and
enough.
Reap the Bones.
Yeah, he's got Kalitas and Reap the Bones. No, it's Grasp of Darkness and Infinite Obliteration there.
Okay, sorry.
And here I'm faced with a mammoth task. Because I'm sat on 1 health. And this is... It's basically me buying time.
Could you not, at this point, Grasp of Darkness is token... Not Grasp of Darkness. What's it called? The one that makes you exile your cards, do it on the human tokens?
No, because the thing is Infinite Obliteration doesn't work on stuff that isn't the
permanent creature.
Isn't on the field already. So even if he Infinite Obliterated Emrakul now, I would already have 1 on the battlefield. So he would only get rid of 2 copies of Emrakul. Because the one on the field stays.
No, what I'm saying is obviously you're taking Reese's go. Could you not get rid of his 1/1 human tokens with it?
No, because they're already onto the field.
Oh, right.
Which is why he did it at the end of my go. Because he still can act. At this point, I'm sitting here and I'm facing uphill struggle. And I know that this is pretty much it. I'm sat with 1 life and 6 human tokens facing me down. Now, if he'd have drawn a Languish, the game would have been different. But it's really an inevitable thing. I even sort of think about all my options, look what I've got in hand, and it's just I'm tapped out. I've got nothing, so I'm just gonna scoop here. And that'll be it for game one. Watch out for our next video, which will be game two. I've been Dan. Thanks for joining me, Niaz, on commentary.
Not a problem, my pleasure.
Yeah, and subscribe.
Yeah, come along.